My dearest mammals, I am finally over Palworld. Yep, I caught and bred every pal including B versions and legendaries, got to level 50, and finished all the towers. Before the game updates, as a final gesture of moving on from this crazy obsession, here are some of the things that I learned after 100 plus hours in Palworld. This guide will cover base building, catching, breeding, crafting, and general tips. So let's go! Let's first talk about the base. You wouldn't want to build your whole base out of wood. Trust me. You'd want to build it out of stone as soon as possible because you might get raided by fire piles or humans and, wood kinda burns. So, there goes your effort. Higher areas cannot be raided because the mobs are kinda derp and they cannot climb for some reason, so it's a good idea to make a base on high places but with enough flat surface like this one. It's also a good idea to choose locations with chests, dungeons, and resources nearby as they respawn after a few in-game days. You might want to help out your pals that transfer items by placing chests beside the production sites. This way, they won't go back and forth to transfer wood, stone, and other resources that your pals generate. It saves everyone's time. It's also a good idea to capture merchants and place them on your base so that you don't have to go back and forth when buying and selling stuffs. Speaking of selling, ingots can be turned into nails and be sold for a high price to merchants. Another good way to make money is to kill a bunch of dragons and sell their drops. Did you know that Dark and Knock pals actually works non-stop? And they won't sleep at night. Consider using these fellows on your base for 24/7 production. What do you mean It's nothing like a sweatshop. Anyways, pals that are higher level than you can be placed on your pal box to defend your base against raids. You can remove all the working pals for a while and then put your highest leveled pals during a raid and then return them back to your usual setup afterwards. Or, you can just build your base on a non-raidable location like I mentioned earlier. For your base, it's better to choose pals that specialize in something rather than those that can handle multiple tasks. This is because pals with multiple tasks can easily get distracted and ends up kind of being useless. They don't really finish their task. It's also a good idea to set up a pal box on 8-node coal and 8-node ore areas for ingots. These nodes resets every 2 days, so it should be more than enough to craft a hecking ton of stuff that requires ingots. And just so you know, this is actually the best spot for ores. There are 8 ores and 1 coal node over here, and there's also a skill fruit tree that resets every 4 days. Okay, now let's talk about catching, breeding, and everything else about pals. Pal partner skills are really awesome, but the necklace partnership is crazy fun in the early game. You can have 5 pals floating around as long as they have a necklace accessory. And the best part, none of them takes damage. Did you know that you can throw balls in a pal's butt? And you'd have a higher capture rate that way too. It's way better to kidnap pals while they're sleeping, stunned, or frozen for higher capture rate. A pal's passive can be transferred to their babies, including the lucky passive. The offspring's passive pretty much is a chance combination of the parent's pal's passive. That said, do not sell or murder your pals. You might be able to use them for condensing or breeding. Or, you can also just keep the pals with good passive as you'll never know if you'd ever need them for breeding. Or, maybe in the future when the game updates more. To kickstart your adventure, you might also want to breed better pals for quick progression. Most of these OP pals can easily be bred by pairing 2 different pals. Collect and hatch as much eggs as possible for XP and for possible condensing. You never know if you'd get one with good passives, and this also counts on your capture bonus XP. When exploring, you might find camps that captures pals, and remember to let them out of the cage so that the pal will join your team or go to your pal box. Now let's talk about food and crafting. Cakes that you won't use yet can be stored in the breeding farm to stop its timer. Just be careful not to put all of your cakes here when there are 2 pals that are mating, because if you did, then congratulations! Your pals might make 300 babies in 1 hour! You're a grandparent now! Always remember to queue some food before leaving your base so that it could cook on its own, or your fire pals will cook it while you're gone. This doesn't only apply to food, by the way. It's always a good idea to cue some crafting before leaving your base for a week or something, so that when you're back, you're all restocked. It's also a good idea to automate your resource gathering as soon as possible so that you can leave your base without any worries. You must also make sure that they have everything that they need, like beds, foods, and baths. You can also sort your inventory or storage to reset food timers, or just take them in and out of the storage if sorting ruins your whole inventory organization thing going on. You get it? It also tilts me so much when I accidentally sort my bag. You also don't have to claim your cooked food unless you need them now. You can keep them on the pots for as long as you want if you don't want them spoiling. One of the things that you'd need lots of for better spears are cement. It's very easy to make it by going to the Sea Breeze Archipelago and killing low-level water pals along the coast. Using Orzerk also gives more drops too. For the bones, you can just buy them from the merchants. And that's another reason to capture a merchant. And now for 5 last general tips. It's super fast to level your character by capturing 10 pals of the same type. And it's much faster to accomplish that once you've unlocked the Megasphere, or spears that are much better than the Megasphere. You can just craft a ton of these and go on a capture spree at low-level areas. If you're the type who wanna keep a safe distance when fighting, which is really something that everyone should be doing, don't be reckless like me, then consider riding an aerial mount and shoot from above. You can even alternate the pal skills on your gun. You should also craft a feedback as soon as possible so that you don't have to feed yourself and your entire team manually. Come on, save yourself from that trouble. The only armors that you honestly need are the cold and fire resistance armors. You should also buy the cold and heat resistance underwears at the Dune Merchant. And of course, consider capturing the merchant too to make your life easier. Remember that you can always use your PAL box as a teleporter. You can dismantle it through the map too and build it whenever needed. The PAL box can also be used as a summoner of some sort when fighting bosses that are way too powerful for you, just like what we did on these videos. And lastly, keep your eyes peeled for random chests, effigies, and fruits around the area. You can get spears, golds, and rare schematics for better weapons and armors through the chests, while effigies are used to increase your capture rate through the Statue of Power. And fruits are used to change your PAL skill set. It's a good idea to put electric and ice skills on your pals too, as they have good crowd control effects, while fire is a must-have for damage over time. But that's about it for now. There's a lot more that I wanted to add, but then the video might take 5 hours, so maybe no. But do you have any other tips that you want to share with everybody? Let us know in the comments. And super thanks to my buddies Panda and Sludgy for helping me compile this information. And of course, super thanks to our channel members for your kind support as always. Don't forget to beep that like and subscribe for more Palworld videos in the future. Bye-bye!